Hello and welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Bryce
I'm Chris,
and I'm bald.
and I'm Beardiful.
How's your week been?
Uh, Pretty good. Busy. Work's been like super busy. Um, things are looking up though. That's one thing. Poker
That's fun.
did not go so well. I
How are
mean,
you
it
gonna
went
say
okay.
things are looking up? Poker didn't go well. Like
Yeah,
what kind
things
of
are looking up.
what kind of segue is that?
I mean, well, I'm trying to think about like what I did over the last week or like since the last time we recorded, and like, I mean, I can say like I play. I mean, I could have played better, but I can't say I played horribly. But the outcome was still the same, right? Like, but those little tweaks are what can be the difference sometimes, right? So I was on that really good run for a minute, you know, running deep, bubble, making like the bubble of final tables, things like that. And then this time around, like I had a couple hands that just didn't go my way ultimately, and then I just got behind and went card dead, and then there wasn't much I could do beyond that.
If we do keep up this podcast, you're just gonna end up being the poster child of how not to gamble.
Pretty much. Well, no, that's Bob Menery. Bob Menery is the poster child for how not to gamble, according to his father.
It, but does he lead by example like you do?
Lead by example. What do you mean?
How you fail at gambling? He just shows you what not to do and you just fail.
Sure.
How does that not make sense?
Meh. Anyway, we still have some football to talk about. We can get into more of that, more of our degeneracy uh, around story time.
All right, sounds like fun. Yeah, everyone's. I mean, the other games don't matter, but everyone wants to talk about the Baltimore game because what an upset that was! Holy cow! And the reason why I'm bringing that up first is just because of the name of of this episode. what what is the Aladdin Falcons, Alex? Um, this is a reference to the two Super Bowls ago, Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons. I have the tab pulled up. First quarter 0-0. Second quarter, Atlanta goes 21 to the New England 3. Third quarter, Atlanta gets another 7. New England gets 6. Then Atlanta decides to let New England score 19 points to tie it up in the fourth quarter, and then let them win in overtime in that Super Bowl. I mean, I still remember the memes from around that time, from that like year, and my favorite one still was um, Brady. You're down by 2 touchdowns, two-point conversions, and a field goal. He goes, "Hold my beer." It was just great. It was the subtlety of it was fantastic.
Yeah, that actually, funny enough, that so you want to talk about gambling. I put money on the Patriots that year to because I expected them to spank the Atlanta Falcons, but the Atlanta Falcons had other plans to run up a huge lead and then lose in glorious fashion in overtime. Which,
So were you over a spread or just like who the
um,
winner?
no, I took Patriots minus the points. So the touchdown, so the overtime, when they went into overtime, in order for me to cover my bet to cover the spread and to collect, the Patriots had to score a touchdown. And everybody was making fun of me because I told people about it ahead of time. You know, yeah, they're making fun of me saying this and saying that, and like even at halftime, because like we bounced around to a couple different Super Bowl parties that year, and at halftime we left a bunch of friends like, "Sorry, it's not looking good for you," blah 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 blah, and then I'm immediately like, as soon as it goes into overtime, I'm like, "Oh, not looking so stupid now, am I?"
See, what would have been better if, as soon as you said that to someone, the Falcons kicked the field goal they needed and just won. Like, son of a.
No, it was
Uh,
way better this way. Uh,
I'm sure it was, but the reason why we're referencing this game is just because of the Ravens Titans game, of just how much of a actually was that the reason, or was it the yeah, it had to be that one. I thought no, it was the Chiefs and Texans game was what is how this happened.
Yes.
Because Texans first quarter were 21-0. First quarter scored 21 points. And honestly, when I tuned into this game, I thought it was almost halftime because I was like, "Whoa, how did it, like you don't often you see a team score 21 points in the first quarter, especially against the Chiefs." And so I'm thinking, well, okay, Texans are blowing it out. I'm checking Facebook too. People are like, "Chiefs, like, do you even know how to play football? Like, how'd you get here?" And then all of a sudden, second quarter comes around, Texans get a field goal and Chiefs get 28 points. So now they're ahead by 24. And then they just didn't let up. 13 points third quarter, 10 points fourth quarter. The entire second half, one touchdown for the Texans. They went from dominating to like, okay, we're good, and then just went and sat on the bench. And then found out that their butts were glued to the bench and couldn't get back up.
I think that happens, man. Like, it really, like, in this, we've touched on this subject a few times with like coaching, and like when you run up a lead, then they change their play calling in a manner in which they're trying not to lose the game, which ultimately leads to them losing the game instead of just running up the score, especially in the playoffs. Like, you should just be running up the score. You should not be playing to run out the clock. The clock will continue to tick as you continue to score touchdowns and put points on the board, right? And I really think that's what I agree with you. I think they backed off the gas because they got on enough of a lead and they were trying to run out some time, basically, right?
But in the first quarter, I mean,
Well, not
actually, I mean, second quarter, they're losing by 4. So at what point do you go, okay, well now we got to hit the gas again? And they never
well,
did.
well, yeah, I think it's too late. Like I said, I think they got comfortable. They got comfortable with, oh well, it's over now. Like, we scored all these points and we can coast through the remainder of the game. Essentially, is what it looked like, right? And like trying to change gears and get back up to speed is significantly harder. So yeah, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just my opinion of it. Just like, I didn't get to watch all of the game. I watched it intermittently. Um, but yeah, it was one of
Yeah.
those, like, because I basically, like, I caught the very beginning, like the first one or two scores, right? And then I went and started running errands, and then I came back, and then like everybody was talking about it, and I looked through it. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. Um, yeah, and it's just one of those things that you just like that was like an unpredictable kind of game. I mean, I think a lot of people favored the Chiefs, but you definitely don't see Chiefs having no points at the end of the first quarter and then just absolutely coming back and destroying the rest of the game. Um, to move on to just more interesting matchups. Vikings and 49ers. I gotta admit, like, I didn't see Vikings going all the way. 49ers, I think, were overall the better team. They proved it during the year. Vikings, good in their own right, but I don't think they just had it in their repertoire to beat the 49ers.
I don't believe that they should have been there in the first place. Once again, the refs screwed over St. Louis, not St. Louis, New Orleans, the Saints, right?
Right.
Um, in grand fashion, again, in plain sight, again, unexcusable, again, right? And yet we still go with this nonsense. There's no calibration. Nobody gets fired. Nobody comes out and says, all right, we got to correct this. We've got to, we've got to better, you know, something. I don't even care. Like, they don't even bother. They care so little. They don't even bother to like try and justify it. What they do actually, or not justify, but rectify it. Sorry. Rectify it is where they try to justify it. And you have shills on the freaking, uh, you know, NFL insiders, whatever, like the commentators saying all, talking trash and doing whatever, and basically calling them out at this point, which was unheard of before. And then the like network NFL, quote unquote NFL insiders, come on and try to justify it, and it's all blowing smoke, right?
All right.
But
And
so that's why we got a Vikings game that was ultimately not even competitive, right? At least the other games we had we had
for the first
drama.
the first half there was a little drama in that game. The most of the drama was in Packers and Seahawks. Um, First quarter, 7-3. Packers ran with it in the second quarter. Seahawks answered back mostly in the third quarter, but tried to come back in the fourth, but couldn't quite catch up. They're making waves, but ended up 28-23 Packers. Um,
Once again, the refs got involved, made a bad call. I mean, it's a marginal
you're gonna
call.
have to come to terms with that the refs are gonna be that every game, and they're just gonna make calls, good calls, bad calls. It's gonna happen.
Well, that's yeah.
Oh,
I think
I
that's just
just
justifying. This is justifying the justifying less than adequate. I can't even say they're adequate at this point. Less than adequate, production, right? And this happened in MMA too. Like I actually remember this in MMA. Like there was a time it was maybe that's probably more than 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. It was probably little over 3 or 4 years ago. There was like a bunch of new refs that came on the scene. Big John McCarthy, like when he temporarily retired, like it was like during that time, right? And we were seeing these real short stoppages, like just unnecessarily short stoppages, wonky penalties being called, and just or like refs getting licensed in other states. Like let's say they mainly like ref in like Nevada and California, and then they would get like licensed in New York, right? Or whatever. And New York has slightly different rules. They wouldn't know the rules, right? So they were making incorrect calls and stoppages and restarts and point deductions because they were just oblivious to like what was going on. It was just a really bad time, and there was a dip in viewership, right? Dip in pay-per-views, all of it, because like I'm not going to pay $80-$90, whatever it is, whatever it is, right?
mm-hmm.
For anything but like a top headline fight, right? Because there's a significant chance that we're just going to have absolute trash of a product as far as from an entertainment perspective, because the refs don't know what they're doing, or they do something stupid, or they do something that they're not supposed to be doing, right? Or they get overzealous because they're on the big stage and they're nervous and whatever. They deduct a point when they shouldn't deduct a point. Because I remember that being a controversy. I'd have to look up the fight. Maybe I'll look it up for next time we talk. But there was a fight where, without a warning, the rules actually say that a warning has to be given prior to a point being deducted, and
Makes sense.
they skipped the warning. There was no warning. He immediately deducted a point, and he cost the fighter the fight, right? Because it turned that score it turned his pushed that fighter's score lower, because he lost that round, so he ended up with like a 10-8. So we ended up with a 10-8 round. So whereas if he hadn't lost that, it would have been he would have won the fight, right? So the point deduction cost him the fight ultimately, in the end, right? So, and it was like but it was one of those things, like he tried to petition it, but then like they went back and they're like, well, the ruling is the ruling, whatever, we don't care. Like basically they just told the fighter to go pound sand, because they're like, it's said and done, take your loss and move on, basically, even though it should have been overturned to a no contest. But I feel like we're seeing the same thing, right? The refs continue to be trash. We continue to like call it, more and more people, social media analysts, whatever, continue to call them out. The shills continue to be shills, which impacts their credibility, right? Because nobody believes their nonsense. Everybody sees through the smoke. And it's taking away from the game, and that's why all the headlines and everything, nobody really talks about football. Nobody talks about the game of football anymore. Everybody's talking about the Aaron Hernandez documentary that just came out. He is no longer with us. He was a very bad man, did some very bad things, but it has nothing to do with football anymore. But that is what people are talking about on the football channels and the podcasts and all that stuff, right? Instead of football. I'm done.
Okay. I was just letting you get it ended out. No, you lost me like 2 minutes back.
It's okay. When you
Somebody's listening. It's not me.
You'll when you get on my level, you'll understand.
Yeah, I don't want to go all the way back down there. I've already reached this high. I can't just go back down like that. No, I mean you make a lot of valid points for sure. But I mean some things just either, I'm not saying that they can't change, but for now there's no check and balance system when it comes to refs. Everyone's going to want to talk about the latest and greatest like gossip, no matter what it is. I'll never understand like the obsession over the Kardashians. Like I just won't. I don't. I can't. I don't know. But to get back to this page and wrap it up. The reason for our meme, just because this was a giant upset, being the Ravens were the huge favorite, a favorite to go to the Super Bowl, and just to see them get absolutely stepped on by Derrick Henry, not the Titans, by Derrick Henry. Oh my God, this dude was 5 yards short of a 200-yard game. 30 carries, freaking 7-0 first quarters, 14-6 by the second quarter, by halftime, another 14 points in the third quarter, and Ravens got their last touchdown or most likely two field goals in the fourth quarter. No, wait, they went for the 2-point conversion, so it was a touchdown. But yeah, Titans, honestly, since they beat out the Steelers for the last spot in the AFC standings, I've been rooting for them. I hope they go all the way. I hope they take the Super Bowl. They got to get past who next week? Chiefs. That would be that'd be a great upset. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see a Titans Packers Super Bowl. I think that'd be nice. On the flip side of what I want to see, if I had either way, I hope Packers beat 49ers. I don't know if they will, don't know if they can, but I hope they do. Just to it was another meme that I saw that I wish I would have thought of it, kind of, you know what I mean? If Chiefs and Packers go to the Super Bowl, then we all know Super Bowl is being funded by State Farm. And if you don't get that, you haven't seen their commercials, because they started with Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years, and now Mahomes is in there. And now you see them both together, so you would just know that the entire Super Bowl is being financed and has been greased with State Farm money.
If only it was playing at State Farm Stadium,
right?
Then it would really be rigged.
Which stadium is that? Do you know?
It's out here.
Is that did they change the name?
Yeah, a while ago. University of Phoenix didn't want to pay the money, and State Farm was willing to pay more. So
yeah, I think I knew it as University of Phoenix still. I didn't know they changed it.
No, it hasn't. At least for a couple seasons now, hasn't been.
Oh, I haven't lived there in a couple seasons, so whatever. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
All right, so let's get into the week. So we're talking. We're already on the Tennessee train here. So
I've given my 2 cents. You can give yours.
I'd like to see Tennessee win. I think at this point, that's the most entertaining. I think that's the best entertainment that'll be on the field. I think it's a tough game. I think it's a tough matchup for both of them at this point. Just at the level that Tennessee is playing. Well, yes, Derrick Henry has been like running away with things. That's opened up Ryan Tannehill a lot, and he's been making really good, accurate passes, and he's been taking big chunk passes downfield as well. Like 30-yard passes. Some a few deeper than that, but like big chunk yardage that makes a difference too, because you can't sleep on him at all. Like, and just once they get you look into Derrick Henry, that's when Tannehill slaps you from with the other hand, basically, right?
Right.
Um,
So give a hand to the offensive line for giving Henry a place to run and protecting Tannehill.
One thing like that, somebody brought it up that with the new rules, the way that Derrick Henry runs, the new rules favor him based on the previous set of rules where you could basically lay out a running back. He would not be as successful. And I agree, I kind of agree with it, right? Because I remember watching, also Tennessee running back, Eddie George, right? Eddie George ran real high and kind of upright once he kind of got up to almost like when he got up to speed, and he took some hellacious hits, right? And got concussed on a number of occasions because linebackers and strong safeties would just tee off on him, and you can't do that anymore. Don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry is also is a bigger running back than Eddie George, but still, similar running style. And I agree with that to a certain extent. Like, while I think Derrick Henry is an amazing athlete and a really great running back, I think that the current in the previous rule setups, he is not as successful, right? Not that matters, because KC's run defense has not been very good all season. So I think he's still going to have. I think Tennessee.
So as long as Derrick stays healthy.
Yeah, as long as he stays healthy, I think KC's going to have some trouble with Derrick Henry this weekend.
I don't know. Did you ever see that? It was a short video of this mountain of a dude. He was built walking into a Dunkin' Donuts where the guy he was training was in. It was like an hour. He smacks the donut or whatever out of his hand. He goes, "It was an hour after the gym. You're already here, destroying your body." And you just see the dude he's smacking the food out of is twice his height, just not built like he is. It's hilarious. I mean, it was it was motivational as well. You keep to your goals and stuff like that. But they reconfigured this video where you have Henry's face on the guy that's marching his way or stomping his way into Dunkin' Donuts, and you just see him walk up to I would say Lamar, but it's just a Ravens helmet, and the caption was Derrick Henry walking into Ravens Stadium, and if you know the video, it was really funny.
Sounds pretty funny. All right, now flipping over to the other side, Green Bay, San Francisco. Shout out to Pete. He's probably not listening, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I hope your Niners lose.
Yeah. And I guess shout out to our cousin Brian too. Then
Brian listens?
No.
Oh.
I'll tell him about him though. I tell him, it's like, hey, we mentioned you.
Oh, I was like, does he even know we have a podcast?
I doubt it. We try not to tell all of our family just so we're not that embarrassed.
Who's embarrassed?
No, I mean, you can't really be that embarrassed when no one listens.
So anyway, yeah, I hope the Niners lose. I really it's really not because I necessarily dislike the Niners. I just don't want to hear Pete talk about it.
My motive is Niners have 5 Super Bowl wins. So far, there's only 2 teams with 6, mine being one of them. And I like to at least keep it that way.
It's okay. Now that the Cowboys are sans Jason Garrett, we might be in that 2 hands club here shortly, hopefully.
Well, time will tell. Time will definitely tell. But yeah, so I'm rooting Green Bay. Green Bay against either one of those teams. That would be a good Super Bowl. Um,
I think Tennessee, if Tennessee gets past KC, I think they match up the best against Green Bay. I think it'll be an entertaining game. I think that if it's a San Francisco Tennessee Super Bowl, I think it's a good game, but I just don't see that being as entertaining. I see it being kind of a low scoring grind of a game because each of them will like very little, you know what I mean? A very small mistake could very well be the linchpin, if you will, for that particular game. Um,
that's like saying if he misses this kick, they don't win. Like, yeah, no kidding.
You know what I mean? Like it's a game of inches, and I really think that game is a game of inches. I think it's going to be very much that would be a very much a defensive kind of like um, field position game. You know what I mean? Those games where they're just it's more of a chess match where they're just jockeying for field position, and then when somebody finally makes a mistake, and then it just spirals. I think that's kind of the way that game ends up. I think KC San Francisco a is a matchup of styles, right? KC is a kind of okay on defense, but full throttle, throttle down offense, high scoring. Where if you look at San Francisco consistently throughout the season, they haven't been too like crazy high scoring games. They do outscore their opponents regularly, right? Like, but nothing like the point totals that KC has put up. So I do think that is an interesting matchup. Um, I don't want to see the State Farm Bowl either. I just don't. That doesn't, because then it becomes it becomes a gunslinger match, right? Like Aaron Rodgers slinging it downfield versus Patrick Mahomes slinging it downfield. Yes, it's going to be high scoring, but ultimately it comes down to who puts up, who puts up a prayer and gets lucky, right? And that's I don't find that entertaining. Personally, I mean, it could be an entertaining game, but I just don't see it as that. I see that matchup being very much like a Tampa Bay, a game with Tampa Bay, right? Whereas Tampa Bay basically has almost no defense, but they have a decent enough offense. So like their scores all season, the game total scores, I think their entire season, their game totals hit the over almost like 100% of the time, or something like that. It was something unprecedented. Like they had more overs as far as the game total spread than in like any other season or whatever, something to that effect. And I see that game being more of something like that, where it's a little sloppy is a bad way to describe it. Help me out here? You know what I'm trying to say? It's not sloppy, but it's not
a little more predictable.
I wouldn't even say predictable. It's kind of like what people like in a fight. If two people just go out there, and
It's a slap fight.
Not quite a slap fight. But no, like they just go out there and they're just slinging haymakers the whole time. You know what I mean?
Who wants the bigger State Farm check?
Yeah, basically, like, yeah, they're just slinging haymakers and hoping, and like the one who gets lucky and connects wins, right? And I think that's the better analogy, right? Like they're just going to be out there slinging haymakers, and whoever connects, ultimately, it can't end in a tie, unfortunately. But I think that I would say that's that game. But I think you and I are on the same page, though. I think ultimately we're looking for a Green Bay Tennessee Super Bowl.
All right, so I mean, I'm going to straight up say I think Tennessee can win, and I think Green Bay can win. What are your actual picks? Like, who do you think's actually going to get there?
I think KC takes it. I think that even though their defense may be a little lacking in this game, I think their offense, the way that their offense produces, I don't think Tennessee necessarily keeps up, right?
Okay, and on the other side,
I think Green Bay has the refs on their side, so I'm going to go with them. I think they're gonna pull a Brady Belichick And I think it's San Francisco versus Green Bay and the refs.
All right, sir. Well, again, we'll have to see what happens. I might actually have to stop and watch these games, or actually sit down somewhere and actually fully watch these games, so I can give a better review next week. But I think we have what's our next segment is what I think it is, right?
Story time.
And Chris is going to tell this story, and I don't know this story, so this isn't something I was a part of. I'm hearing this story for the first time, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's a good one.
I mean, it's not necessarily funny. I mean,
Well, I'm going to make fun of you for it, no matter
you
what
can
it
make fun
is.
of me.
So.
There's really nothing to make fun of me for. It's more of a commentary, right? Like I have noticed, like we both came. I think this is relative to both of us too, actually. So both of us were in the service industry. We both served / bartended or worked in the service industry in some capacity, right?
Dealt with cruddy people. Yeah, exactly. We both did this. Yeah, I get it.
And there was this, like certain level of service that you were like always required to like give, right? Like it just what I thought, or at least what I was taught, was like basic customer service. Not necessarily that the customer is always right, but like you were polite, you were timely, you did what you could to try and like make sure that the customer experience was always positive. No, no matter what, right?
Basically do anything you could besides bend over. I got you.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And I feel like in my history, like I took a lot more crap, and I had to grin and bear it. Where nowadays, like,
Oh yeah, you didn't do this in the politically correct times.
yeah, like whatever. But now I feel like customer service, they can basically do what they not necessarily do what they want, but they can be very lackadaisical about service, give crappy service, not be attentive, not be not have to like be solutions oriented in any manner for the most part, and then they feel like they deserve a 20+% tip for just showing up, and I'm like,
Right, so
that's
we're getting a lot of view but no story. So what happened?
as far as like the context. So this is one of a few stories, and probably why I was very short in this particular with my just approach, because I'm kind of over it. And I've also had a poor experience previously. So Medieval Times just opened up. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the name of the of the place for two reasons, twofold. Two poor experiences to give the context of what it was, right? And then secondly, like I think Medieval Times is a really great spot. Like in general, like overall, like the show, the food, everything was really good, and I would highly recommend, like, if you have the opportunity to check it out, whether it's in California or out here in Arizona, or even what is it, the Knights Court, which isn't necessarily associated with Medieval Times, but it's a similar type like banquet setup and show, like jousting and that kind of stuff at the Excalibur in Vegas. Like I think it's a worthwhile experience, especially for like special events, right? Um, so the first time around, we were going for someone else's birthday. We checked in separate from our party. They didn't save us seats. They tried to seat us with the wrong party. Literally, so this is gonna be two stories. So this is the first part A of the whole kind of story, right, leading up until my birthday, right?
In part A sounds like a lack of communication so far.
So yeah, so lack of communication, just lack of overall organization, right? But this was like they'd only been open for like maybe a month, so still working out the kinks. Like I get that, right? But they tried to sit us with another party that had like a similar last name or a similar spelling or something like that. It wasn't my last name. It was our friends that we were there
They
for
just
her
try to
birthday.
put you
right?
alphabetical.
Whatever. So then they sit us with this party, and we go, no, that's, we're in the wrong spot. Like, whatever. And they go, no, that's your party. I'm like, no, that's not our party. And they're like, well, yeah, that's your party. And I had to like stop the person, get them to look me straight in the face and go, we don't recognize any of those people. We don't know them. They're not our party. And then he went, oh. And finally, you're going to argue with me about whether or not I know the people that are sitting there? Really? No, you know them. This is who you're supposed to be with, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. come to find out that like, yeah, there was a mix up as far as like which party we were supposed to be a part of, and then the other party, our party, they didn't save us any seats because we checked in at a different time, and it was a whole mess. And then like the manager didn't even bother to like try and like rectify it. Like their immediate go to was, well, we can refund you. I'm like, that's not the point. Like we're here for a birthday. We're trying to sit with our friends. I'm not being unreasonable by like trying to like, and we didn't buy like general admission tickets. We bought upgraded tickets too. That's what like ultimately makes it worse. Is like I'm paying for a VI, not necessarily VIP, but I'm paying for the upgraded experience. I'm paying more than just your general admission. You should take care of me in some capacity, especially since I'm not being unreasonable. I'm just asking to sit with my party. Not, I mean, am I crazy? Is that like an astronomical request?
Well, my first thought, and I'm hoping somebody else did it, was what happened to like a reservation? Did you make a reservation? Like what was communicated to the staff
You
that
have
you?
to,
I
so
get
you
that
have,
you guys, I get that you guys came separately, but what? How did one half get there? And be like, oh, we have more coming, and then the staff didn't, reserve that seat.
I really don't know what was that. Like, so like the way that they handle reservations is weird. Like they just block out like the number of like kind of like the number of attendees, but they don't put like reservation signs down or like really like block out like seats ahead of time. It's kind of asinine, to be 100% honest. Like it's just kind of basic restaurant 101, especially when you have groups that are booking, like you're booking groups. Like it's really simple to create like even handwritten name cards and be like, hey, these seats are reserved for the Smith party, so on and so forth, right? Like if you just come in, you like as like general admission, especially like especially with upgraded tickets, right? And then if you come in as general admission, you just kind of filter in, right? Like you just bought general admission, you check in together, you're paying for a more basic experience that just kind of, you walk in together, right? But when you're making a reservation ahead of time and you're paying for the upgraded experience, like there needs to be a little bit more to the experience, because basically there's no difference as of right now between the two tickets other than where you sit. Your overall experience is exactly the same. So it just doesn't fit what the description is, and what the experience is supposed to be does not fit what actually occurs. So that had already happened. We got a refund and ended up leaving. We didn't end up even getting to sit with our party because they didn't bother to like, even the other thing is they didn't even bother to check to like actually like locate our party and find seats. So come to find out that like, because have you been to medieval times, or at least you're aware of medieval times?
It's been a long time. I mean,
Okay,
from what I remember, you basically sit in the giant ring and look in towards the arena.
sure. It's like stadium seating, but you
Yeah,
have like colored sections in this section. The
right.
colored section is associated to the night that you root for, right? So our
Got to have a
party,
territory.
yeah. So in this particular, for our friend's birthday, they were sitting in the red night section, which is totally fine. But there were no seats in there. Come to find out later, after we talked to like connected with them after the show and everything like that, the black and white night section, which is literally right next to them, across the aisle, there were open seats. Like, why couldn't you sit me there? I am next to. I get it. I'm not worried about across the aisle. I am still next to my party. I can see my party. We can still be a part of the festivities. But you didn't even take this. You didn't even take like the 2 minutes it would have taken to go down and locate the party that we were supposed to be a part of, and see that, hey, I can't seat you in the red night section with them because unfortunately we didn't block it out for you. But the across the aisle we had two open seats and you could still be near them. I would have been like, all right, that's fine, that totally works, right? Instead they just went, okay, well, we can just refund you, and don't even bother to address address the experience or provide any sort of customer service. So like when we decided to do a birthday outing with everybody, because like, get a larger group together. It's kid friendly. We can have more of the parents, the friends that our parents can come out. More people can participate. Right. We did that. Um, we decided we're like, hey, we're not just gonna like purchase like tickets online, like and make like a reservation, we're going to do like a group event. Like we're going to go through their events like coordinator, right, or event sales, because we have a larger group, because we end up being, I think our head count ended up being like 15 or so, right? Not including the kids actually. So we book all that, and once again, like they don't manage to do any sort of, and our tickets are all upgraded tickets. They don't manage to like put like reserve us seats or seat us together, or so just like outline it at all, right? Or usher us there. Like we didn't even, the events person didn't even like greet us in any manner. Like I've done events for work, as a part of my job, right? And normally when you book something through their events, like you get greeted by a manager. Like it doesn't have to be the events manager, but usually like a manager comes up, greets you, make sure like all the details are correct, that kind of stuff, and like just make sure that you have a good experience and kind of start you off on the right foot, right?
Right.
Super basic customer service like task. None of that. Just come in, like I said, ushered in as if we're just like general admission. Like, I'm like, this isn't the end of the world, but like I'm already a little weary of like, nobody's really making sure that things are the way that they are. And with this large of a party that we had, the money that we spent, like it's still a significant dollar amount, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
So then,
is it still, or where are we now in the story?
so this is my birthday now, or my birthday
right.
outing. So we fast forward to my birthday outing. So we get there, we organize everybody like to in an area, and then hang out, and then finally we get called to our, to go in, right? And it goes, okay, so those who have like the VIP tickets, which are like, there's two different packages to upgrade your ticket to like a VIP experience, get to go, they do kind of let you go in first, but they call you different sections, so to kind of send you out there, right? So we get to our section, and I'm not completely up front, but like there's maybe like five or so people in front of me as we're like kind of walking down to our seats, and they start like, and there's other people that are part of the section. Like we're not taking up the whole section by any means, right? There's two other groups that arrived ahead of us, like one that got seated like right in front of our group, and one that was already seated, right? And so you think of like two rows, and if you were to block off like the two rows, like quarter, like in quarter sections, they put one group in like if you're facing the square, right? If it's four squares, one group in the bottom right hand square, the next group in the top left hand square, which means that my group of 15 is now split in the top right and the bottom left square. So we're now like diagonal and nowhere near, and based on like how big this space is and how it's set up, nowhere near each other. So we would have two groups of 7, like nowhere near each other. And I'm like, no. Like we're supposed to have like back to back. Like we should have the top left and the bottom left square. So we're like, 2 rows in front of each other, and encompassing everybody. I'm not saying we should all be across in one row. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking to be back to back so we can see, talk to each other, throw stuff at each other, yell, whatever, have a good time, right? With that, and I look at her like, hey, we have
it's just not happening.
Yeah, it's just not happening. I'm like, and I'm like, just kind of looking at him like, what are you doing? First and foremost, what are you doing? Why would you send a smaller group to the end and then just fill in randomly? Like this is stupid. And I look at it, I'm like, hey, we have a large group. We need to all be together in some manner, like 2 rows in front of each. And I even said, I'm like 2 rows in front of each other. And she goes, no, that's not how it works. I went, excuse me, you can stop right there. I'm not even going to deal with this. You can go ahead and get your manager right now. And she just kind of looked at me, and then because they're in character, and she was trying to do it in character and do the little whatever. And I'm like, and then she started to open her mouth again. I'm like, no, manager, let's go.
Or
like right now,
or queen, or whatever you want to call it.
Whoever you want to call it, like, let's go. And so then like Pete looks, and he's trying to like be like the whole like, arbitrator, like mitigator, whatever, like, oh, why can't we just ask these people to move over and this and that and whatever? And I'm like, I don't know why, because she's apparently like, I don't know if she's what her deal is, but you shouldn't be arguing with me, and B, if back when I was served to tell a customer, no, I'm sorry, that's not how it works, is not appropriate in any manner. Like, you don't talk to a guest like that. I can see like, hey, like, I understand what you're saying, like it's first come first serve seating or something to that effect, but that's not actually what was going on. I'm like, we have a group reservation, an events, a special, I mean, I went through the events booking that we should have this. And so then Pete asked the people, like, and the people were super polite. They're like, hey, we don't understand, what's going on. And Pete kind of explained it to him, and they're like, yeah, we'll just move down. Like, that totally makes sense. Why would they do that? I'm like, we don't know. There's, whatever. Right. So then they move down, and then we just fill in, and we basically just kind of take it over. Right. And do our thing. And then,
So overall, it's just one big frustration.
so yeah, just one big frustration.
You getting sidetracked over there?
Yeah, sorry. So then, like, we start to fill in and we work it out, right?
We're not going to discuss what happened. You went like brain dead for like a second. You
Yeah, sorry.
tweeting?
The wife is texting me from the other room.
Oh,
Anyway,
does she need her computer back? Like, what's going?
no. Anyway, so we work it out, and then the manager comes down and goes, okay, so apparently, like, so the whatever the girl was says you have some questions about your reservation. I'm like, no, I don't have any questions. I have a serious problem with the fact that, like, I put together a reservation and they're trying to break my party apart and not seat us next to each other. And she goes, oh, but you're here and here, right? Like, yeah, you're supposed to be here. I'm like, you're telling me that that my party is supposed to be in 2 rows in front of each other. She goes, yeah. I'm like, that's not what she did. That's not what was going on. She was trying to break up the party, and then she argued with me about it. She goes, oh, well, I'll talk to her about it. I'm like, this is, and I just kind of looked at her, like, and I even said it. I'm like, this is BS. I said it in full, but I straight up said it right to the manager's face. I'm like, this is BS. That, like, that I'm having to even have this conversation, that she didn't bother to, like, take half a second to listen to what was going on and try to correct the situation to what was supposed to have happened, that I have to now do her job. And in this particular case, like, in this particular case, gratuity is already paid for, right? Because it's because of the way that the setup is, you don't, like, tip afterwards. You pay your ticket price, and everything's kind of baked into it, right?
Gotcha.
From there. So that's also part of it, right? Like,
See, I think this is one of the big differences between you and me, is that as soon as she said, yeah, you're supposed to be here and here, and you go, yes, I know, we know, she didn't, that's what we're doing, and been done with it. Like, I can understand the frustration of definitely going through this twice, but not a lot of things get to me. I think get to you just as on our personal levels.
I mean, it's not. It's just a frustration. Like, I just don't like, uh, especially. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm a real generous tipper, right? Like, in general, but, like, this whole, like,
I think most people that were servers are.
yeah, but this whole, like, self-righteousness of, like, they deserve a 20% tip without having to do the basics, like I said, like, this girl didn't even do the basics of, like, being, like, in customer service, period. Like, the whole, like, oh, hey, I didn't realize that they weren't a part of your party, like, let me go ahead and, like, move them around, because it wasn't like it we were just, like, it wasn't like a crazy request. It wasn't like out of the, but, like, she, you know what I mean? Like, but she couldn't even be bothered to, like, basically do her job.
I'm really hoping you didn't ruin some person's first day on the job.
I mean, As I was saying, like I didn't even bother to argue with her. I'm like, I'm just give me the manager because we're gonna get this figured out real quick. And like, and the fact that I also love the fact that you have questions around your reservation. No, I don't have questions. My question is why is this girl arguing with me about splitting up my party when it should have never happened?
Other than that, how was the show?
Oh, my night was hungover. No,
falling off his horse hungover, or
no, he wasn't drunk. He was hungover. No, other than that, like, so just a poor start to it. But overall, like, once everything kind of calmed down, I got another beer in me. Like, we we had a good time. We had fun with it. But no, like they start the show.
Has anyone ever told you you're happier when you're drunk, or?
Yes, always. But so they do the announcements and they start announcing all the nights, and like we're because like I said, we had upgraded tickets. I'm in the front row. I'm in the very first row, actually. And so then so our night is like maybe 5 feet from me, like just like kind of at an angle from me from where he was like posted up while they were doing the announcements, and I can see him doing that kind of that bleh, like, you know what I mean, where you kind of like burp and you kind of taste the booze from last night. He did like one of those and just did not look like enthusiastic in any manner with anything that he was doing. And I just returned to Pete. I'm like, does it look like our night is hungover? And he goes, yeah, it kind of does.
See, I probably would have messed with them a little bit, but then again, it would have been really messed up. You're like, dude, like, you feeling all right? Just start heckling your night.
And then his performance, like,
too much mead.
Yeah, he definitely failed at a few of the like stunts and things, where they put the ring on the lance and they have to like grab the flag off the thing.
Well,
like
it's hard. It's hard to hit the ring when you're seeing 5 of them.
True.
Again, I know he's hungover, not drunk, but still.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny though, because Pete, because when they do like score in the events, they throw them carnations and they throw them out to the audience, right, and do whatever. And Pete yells, "Oh, it's his birthday! It's his birthday!" And like the guy looks at me, goes, "Is it your birthday?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're here celebrating my birthday." So he threw me a carnation, which was funny. So I got a flower. I got a flower from our night. He died, so there's that. In the end, so I don't think we're like, I think we don't have to worry about the till death do us part thing, right? With the flower.
You're saying you're free and clear. Your vows now mean nothing.
Basically. Yeah, he was. I think he was the first one to die.
Oh man.
Yeah, he just died immediately.
Well, this story has been a great view into first world problems, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. But I think it's time we wrap this up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that time. All right, I'll take it. Well, you started it, so I guess I'll take us out. Until next time, we are the Bald and Beardiful. Smash that like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe. It helps the channel, and that way you know exactly when not to listen to us. No, just kidding. Find us on
when all the new content comes out. Come on.
Find us on Facebook, the Bald and Beardiful. Email us. We would really like some correspondence. A pen pal, perhaps. Maybe we should sign up to be a pen pal with a foreign exchange student. That might be interesting. Anyway.
That's conversation for another day, apparently.
Oh, all right. So here's to a Titans Green Bay Super Bowl.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Bye.
Bye, guys.